In our narrative-obsessed culture, a great method in evangelism is sharing our own stories of how the gospel has impacted our very normal, earthy, everyday lives. It's not the silver bullet, but it's another way to hold out the word of truth to people who desperately need to hear it. Sharing our story won't always look like a dramatic conversion experience. It might be a very ordinary retelling of how God has been at work in your life. But all of us have stories to tell. I find it helpful if there's a journey of some description. I was at A, I found out that, B, and now I understand that, C, a before, during and after. And this can be used for any story, not just how you became a Christian. So here then are 8 very brief top tips on sharing our own stories. Firstly, prioritize. Prioritize details in your story that clarify the gospel. You've likely only got a short window of time, so be sure to prioritize the key details. Secondly, use phrases like, I never understood that, or I found out that. Emphasize what you learned about who God is and what He's like through your journey. Thirdly, combine truth and goodness. We want people to say, now I understand, as well as how can I experience that? For instance, you might say, I now know the joy of being loved unconditionally by God, and couple it with, it's because I understand what Jesus did for me on the cross. Fourthly, talk in their language. Avoid Christian jargon. Avoid sentences like, and then I heard John Piper and Don Carson do a great talk. That's just going to isolate you from them. Talk in their language. Fifthly, use colour. Give added detail to important sections of your story. Sixthly, be real. Make sure it's clear to your listeners that being a Christian doesn't mean an easy life now. Be real about the hardships and the struggles of life. Next, have your eyes open to context. Just think about who you're sharing your story with and contextualize appropriately. Your story will likely look different if you're explaining it to your elderly neighbour versus your millennial colleague. And then lastly, scribble it down. Write some notes for clarity. If you've never done that before, that would be a great thing to try. And in fact, why not do that this week? Why not scribble down your story and then pray for an opportunity to go and tell it to someone?